over the weekend with the gay pride, many Muslims may be thinking, is homosexuality permissible in Islam, or can I be gay and Muslim at the same time? Now, I believe that a person can be homosexual and Muslim. Now, before you switch off this video and troll me through my comment section, let me explain what I mean here. Islam defines our sexuality morally in terms of only heterosexual relationships are permissible within Islam. Islam further says that it is not permissible for somebody to engage in premarital sex or extramarital sex. You can't be engaged in a relationship without being married, is haram, with same sex or opposite sex, or whilst being married, somebody's in your nikah, for you to get up to no good and be promiscuous. Adultery is also something which is prohibited within Islam. So that's the ruling behind the idea. Now, if somebody has homosexual tendencies in terms of you are attracted to a man, or as a woman you're attracted to a woman, and these are just feelings that you harbor, and would that take you out of the fold of Islam? Absolutely not. Now, if somebody chooses to engage in the act of homosexuality, and I'm being very clear here and explicit in terms of sodomy, then that act itself is something which is haram and something that we believe is morally reprehensible. And it's classed as a sin like any other sin within Islam. If somebody was to gamble, if somebody was to drink, or somebody was to engage in zina, for example, it would be classed as the exact same sin. Now, some people, when they look at the story of Lut alayhi salam, and they say that his community was punished because of them being homosexual, it was not necessarily their punishment exclusively just for their homosexuality. There were bandits, there were people who used to cheat individuals, they used to harm the Prophet alayhi salam. The Quran does condemn the practice of homosexuality within the scripture, where it says, "Atatuna rijal," that you come to men to fulfill your desires, shahwatan min duni nisa, instead of going to women. So the act in itself is something which the Quran, in a sense, does condemn. In fact, if you look at theology, the Quran is the least homophobic, in a sense, when it comes to the idea of homosexuality compared to the Old Testament and the New Testament. Read about Leviticus, read in Corinthians, read in Romans in the New Testament. The Quran doesn't prescribe capital punishment for homosexuality within the Quran. Read. In fact, it's the Old and New Testament that had these kind of attitudes and beliefs. Now, we as Muslims, how should we treat homosexuals? The same way we treat a heterosexual. Honestly, as Muslims, it doesn't mean that it gives us the right, regardless if you're in the West or not, but specifically in the notion of us being in the West, that if somebody is homosexual for some strange reason, they have to go harm them, cause them harm, abuse them online, or act weird towards them, or in any way act in a prejudiced or discriminatory manner. No. The Equality Act of 2010 that protects people's sexuality is the same rights that protect our religious freedom of religious expression. And the fact that if you are homophobic, that's your problem. And sometimes some communities and cultures can be. So coming back to the idea that why I believe somebody can be homosexual in terms of tendencies and Muslim is that it's classed as a sin within Islam. It doesn't necessarily take you out of the fold of Islam. But the act in itself is haram. And that's the Islamic position behind it. And no normative classical Islamic scholar has permitted homosexuality. And you will not find any scholar that does. You have marginalized people on the side who sometimes question its permissibility, but the normative Islam, and this is the stance. And I don't feel as Muslims we should be apologetic about it. At the same time, we should not be homophobic and harm other people thinking we're doing God a favor in the name of Islam. You guys, if you have any comments or viewpoints in regards to this, send me some of your comments, inshallah we can engage in a discussion. Assalamu alaikum.